Hello, I'm Gaurav Sharma from Hitbullseye.com, and welcome to this lecture in which we will cover some important parts of our constitution, that is fundamental rights, fundamental duties and directive principles of state policy. Starting with fundamental rights. Fundamental rights are enshrined in part 3 of our constitution and are covered by articles 12 to 35. The inspiration towards fundamental rights comes from the Bill of Rights, that is the Constitution of America, that ensured the freedom of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. So basically, all these rights were the main ideals for which our constitution strives for, and as a result, these rights were made justiciable. That is, a person, an aggrieved person, could move court to ensure that his or her rights are covered or are available to him. There were primarily 7 fundamental rights at the when the constitution was made, but the sixth fundamental right, that is right to property, was taken away in 1978, and at present there are 6 fundamental rights. Okay, so the first one is right to equality. That is, this article seeks to ensure that there is equality before law, Article 14 itself, and then there is no discrimination on the basis of caste, creed, place of birth, religion, and then also it seeks to ensure that there is equality of opportunity to all citizens. The second one is right to freedom. The right to freedom has also 6 freedoms. Article 19. The first one is right to freedom of speech and expression. The second one is right to assemble peacefully and without arms. The third is right to freedom to form associations, right to form associations and unions. The fourth one is right of movement throughout the territory of India. All the citizens are free to move throughout the territorial boundary of India. The fifth one is right to freedom of residence. That is, a person can reside in any part of India. And the sixth is right to occupation or profession. That is, an individual is free to practice any profession in any part of India. But of course, all these rights are not absolute. There are certain reasonable restrictions. For example, with respect to movement and residence, a person is not free to move and reside in certain areas, for example, tribal areas, so as to protect their cultural exclusiveness. Therefore, all these rights have certain reasonable restrictions. And of course, Article 21A, that is right to education. The third one is right against exploitation. There shall be no exploitation. So therefore, there is a prohibition of human trafficking as well as child labor. The fourth one is right to freedom of religion. Every individual is free to practice and promote and profess his or her religion, and that is why there is also education institutions in which a person can propagate his or her religion. And the fifth one is culture and education rights. The linguistic minorities can have certain linguistic protection of their languages. There is cultural protection. There is also right for minorities to have their own institutions so as to protect their own cultural heritage. Now, the most important section of these fundamental rights is the right to constitution remedies. Now, all these 5 rights are justiciable owing to this right, because this right ensures the enforcement of all the other rights. There are 5 writs which are issued by Supreme Court and High Court so as to ensure that the fundamental rights of all the Indian citizens are met. The first one is habeas corpus. Habeas corpus basically means you may have the body. It's a Latin word which means you may have the body. It means as a protection tool against illegal detention. any individual who is illegally detained can move court, and the court can issue a habeas corpus so as to question the authorities why this person has been detained. The second one is mandamus, which means we command. It is to force or a legal entity or a public enterprise to perform a public service or a statutory duty. A public or statutory duty. Next one is prohibition. Prohibition basically means stay order. It is to stop a public entity from doing something that is not within his or her jurisdiction. The next one is certiorari. That is to certify. In this, a higher court or tribunal, that is Supreme Court or High Court, issues an order in which the proceedings or the decision which has been taken by the lower court is quashed. And the next one is quo warranto, which means by what authority. Quo warranto basically is to stop or refrain a person from holding an office to which he is not authorized to. So these all are the 5 writs to ensure the applicability of fundamental rights. This brings us to the directive principles of state policy. This is present in part 4 and covered by article 36 to 51. It was borrowed from Irish Constitution and it was described as a novel feature. Novel feature is why? Because these directive principles of state policy act as a guiding light towards for the state while formulating policies and enacting laws. Now, what are these principles? Basically, there are 3 principles: Gandhian principles, socialist, and liberal intellectual. The father of the nation provided us a moral compass, provides the government a moral compass, so as to ensure that all the policies are aimed for betterment and welfare of the downtrodden. This is ensured like the protection of animals, establishment of village panchayats, that is grassroots democracy, promotion of cottage industries, that is micro industries, self-help groups, social justice for weaker sections, for example, for emancipation of scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. And the second one is socialist principles such as promotion of equality. These principles seek to create a socialistic pattern of government in which there is equality, there is also emancipation and empowerment of workers, there is right to work, there is the security of living wage, and also there is adequate nutrition. The third one is liberal intellectual. Basically, liberal intellectual deals with all the rational things that the government must do. That is, for example, formation of a uniform civil code. Uniform civil code means that there is a single law which is applicable throughout the country. There is no division on the basis of religion. There is no Hindu code bill, but there is a Muslim code bill separately, but there is a uniform civil code which is applicable to all the citizens. And there is environmental protection. There is the protection of monuments and promotion of international peace. This brings us to fundamental duties. Now, every individual we have fundamental rights. The government has been ensured that it promotes the policies are such that it promotes welfare. There is directive principles, but we as individuals, also citizens, have a responsibility towards our country. That is why we have fundamental duties. It is enshrined in part 4A and added in the 42nd Amendment of Constitution, in which both part 4A and article 51A was added. It was inspired by the constitution of USSR, erstwhile Soviet Union. In 1976, Swarn Singh Committee was established. He gave 8 duties, but eventually the 41st Constitution Amendment added 10 fundamental duties to the Constitution. Again in 86th Constitution Amendment, both Article 21A, that is right to education, and an 11th fundamental duty was added in part 4A of Constitution. The first one is abide by the Constitution and respect national flag, national anthem. The second one is cherish and follow the noble ideas of freedom struggle, that is to respect the idea of Indian freedom. And third one is to protect sovereignty, unity and integrity of India. Fifth one is defend the country and render national service. Fifth, promotion of harmony and brotherhood. Sixth one is preserve the rich cultural heritage and country's composite culture. That is, it promotes pluralism and cosmopolitan culture. To protect and improve natural environment. To develop scientific temper and spirit of inquiry. To safeguard public property. Strive towards excellence in individual and collective activity. Latest one, to provide education opportunities to the children. So these are the 11 fundamental duties that we have covered. In this lecture, we have covered 3 basic important parts of our constitution: fundamental rights, fundamental duties, and DPSPs. Fundamental rights, if we compare all the 3, we shall see that fundamental rights as such are fundamental, as they are essential for an overall growth or development of an individual, whether it be material, intellectual, moral, or spiritual. And therefore, the individual is given certain freedoms. And to ensure these freedoms, the power of the state is limited. That means the state is stopped from infringing on those freedoms. But of course, these rights cannot be seen as absolute. They shall be complemented by fundamental duties. Therefore, if we have certain freedoms, we also have to do certain duties. And these duties are not only for an individual, but the state or the government is also given certain goals or ideals to which the state shall strive to achieve. And those are encapsulated in DPSPs or directive principles. So this brings us to the end of this lecture. Till then, good luck, work hard and hit the bullseye. Thank you.